What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm doing my April TBR video, basically all of the books that I want to read in the month of April. In the month of April there's two readathons going on that I really want to participate in. The first one is the Magical Readathon Spring Edition. That is hosted by G over at Book Rose. I will leave her channel down below with the announcement video, because that's a pretty complex readathon that's been going on for a few months now, so I'm not going to sit here and explain everything to you guys. I'll just link her announcement video down below. That's a month-long readathon that is going on, and I'm really excited for that one because, I mean, like I said, it's an ongoing thing. We've been on it for a few months, so I think it's really exciting. And then the other readathon that is happening is this Fling-O-Ween readathon that is hosted by Gabby and Olivia, and that one is a half-week readathon, and it's going on at the end of the month of April. So I think what I'll do is I will include my magical readathon TBR in this video, but I will do a separate video with my spring Fling-O-Ween readathon TBR closer to that readathon, so that this video is not extremely long. And also, if you guys don't know, I do play my own TBR game that is loosely based on Sushi Go. So there's also that in this video. So before we get started with my TBR, I do want to do a small recap of last month's TBR, which went horribly. I basically ended up only reading 2 books from that TBR because I ended up having COVID in the middle of the month of March, kind of beginning of March, and then it lasted for like almost 2 weeks. Although my symptoms weren't that bad, I was really tired and I was just not in the mood for for some big high fantasy book. So that's why I only ended up reading 2 books, which were Emergency Contact and Six Crimson Crane. So those are the only 2 books that I've read, which brings my total to 30 points already, which is why also I'm gonna change all of my prompts when I hit 50 points. Because I only done 2 months of it and I haven't even read all of the books from my TBR, and I'm already at 30 points, so that's why I'm gonna change my prompts every 50 points. So the 3 books that I did not end up reading were Jade Legacy, The Burning God, and A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. All of them are pretty big fantasy books. I'm not gonna roll them over to this month. I just don't think I can add these 3 books and do 5 other rolls. It would be way too much, so I'm not rolling them over. I'm sorry. That was my recap from last month, and then let's see what cards did I draw for this month. Okay, so let's go. Let's hope that the TBR games God are nice to me, because reading has not been a thing very much lately for me, you know, being sick and all. So let's hope I get some good prompts and not too bad. Okay, so let's start. The first prompt is going to be a new book. So the first card that I draw was new card, which basically means either a new release or a new to me book. New release either last month or like the last couple of months, or I did include a new to me book. I just wanted to be a little bit more lenient on me and give myself a chance. So new to me book basically means it has to be included in my last book haul video. So that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be a book that I hauled in my latest haul video, and it is City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I'm so excited for this book. I only heard good things about this one. This is also Ian's over at Out of This World Reader series read along, his newest series read along, so I thought it would be the perfect time to add it on my TBR because I've been wanting to read this book for ages now. I've heard so many good things about it. It's about this girl who summons a djinn who tells her that she might be from this city, Daevabad city. But while she summons this djinn, I think she also summons some other monsters or like creatures, and she has to fight them. Like I said, I've heard so many good things about this book. I cannot wait to read it, and I'm really excited to finally pick up this series. Next prompt is Okay, highest rated. My next card that I draw was highest rated. That's a rollover from last month because I couldn't read that book last month. It is going to be Jade Legacy by Fandali. This is the third book in the Greenbone Saga series. I also just got the loan from my library for the audiobook, so I do think it's going to help me a lot to read this book because this is a chunky book. It's a pretty big book, but I've heard so many good things about this book. I've heard this is like one of the best ending to a series, so I cannot wait to pick it up. I'm really excited to read it. I couldn't get to it last month because I wasn't in the mood for a really big fantasy book, but I really want to read this one, and I really want to see how this book ends. And so I'm excited to finally pick this book up. Hopefully I will this month. Next prompt is the 3 Marquee, which is a sequel, which is always nice. I mean, I always need to continue series, so that's always a good. And then the next card that I draw was a sequel card. This one, once again, is a rollover from last month's TBR because I did have a sequel that I did not read, and this one I'm going to be picking up, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I decided to pick this one instead of The Burning God because I don't think I'm going to be able to read The Burning God and Jade Legacy and all of these other really big fantasy books that I have on my TBR, so I thought this one would be easier to read because it is a fantasy book, but it's also like a romance fantasy book, which I think are easier for me to get through because they're not too complex. Fingers crossed. But this is the second book to the From Blood and Ash series. I did read the first book in February, I think, or January. I think it was February, and I really enjoyed that book. I had heard some mixed feelings about it, so that's why I was nervous to read that book, but I ended up loving the first book, so this is the second one, and I'm really excited to read it. I did start it a little bit as an audiobook, but I did want to read it physically, so that's why I stopped last month. But once again, this is a book that I did not get a chance to read last month because I was just tired all the time, so I'm rolling this one over for this month. Next one is All This on My TBR. Okay, so the next card that I draw was All This on My TBR. So basically that's just a book that I had on my TBR for the longest, and for this one I am going to be choosing Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahern. This is the second book in the Serpent and Dove series. So this is kind of an embarrassing story, but last year I did end up rereading Serpent and Dove because I wanted to pick up the sequel, but never did. So this month I am putting this book on my TBR because I really need to read this one with Serpent and Dove being fresh in my memory, because I don't want to reread Serpent and Dove a third time in order to read this book. And so I'm putting this one on my TBR this month. I really want to read it. I've heard some mixed things about this like series overall and this book as well. But I did really enjoy the first book. I did enjoy the first book even more the second time around that I read it. So I'm really excited to see where this book goes. Last card is what was that? Salmon Nigiri. What was that? Oh, so that's the LGBTQ rep book. So it either has to be the author is from the queer community or a character in the book has to be queer. So that's really nice too. And then the last card that I draw was a Salmon Nigiri, which means it has to have an LGBTQ rep. The book that I chose for this prompt is going to be The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I did go online to see, and apparently one of the characters in this book is a lesbian, so that's why I'm picking this book to fit this prompt. I don't know if she's an important character, but I'm gonna make it fit for this prompt. I've been wanting to read this book for the longest time. I've heard so many good things about this book, and this also fits one of the prompts that I have for the magical readathon, so that's why I'm picking this book for this prompt. I'm so excited for this one. This is the first book in a new-ish series. It's about this girl who works at a prison. She's a prison healer. And then one day the infamous rebel queen arrives to the prison, and she gets a note that says, "Don't let her die, we are coming." So like I said, I've heard so many good things about this book and I cannot wait to read it. So that's it for my TBR, for my game. Those are all the books that I want to read, but I do want to go over super quickly the prompts and books that I want to read for the magical readathon. So I decided that I wanted to become a healer. That's my calling. I took way too long to decide what calling I wanted to choose, but I didn't want a calling that had too many prompts. So that one has only 4 prompts, which I think is very doable for me, and a lot of them I can fit these books in them, so I thought it would be perfect. And so for that, I have 4 prompts, like I said, 4 books that I need to read. The first one is Elemental Studies, which means I need a book under 100 pages. That one, I don't have a book yet. All my graphic novels are like over 100 pages, so I just need to find a book for that one, but I can knock that off pretty easy. I think it's going to be easy to read that one. The next prompt was Alchemy, which is a book featuring romance. I mean, there's a bunch of books behind me that features romance. Obviously from Blood and Ash, it's a fantasy romance book, and the Serpent and Dove series is also a fantasy romance, so either one of those books would fit that prompt. And I'm pretty sure there's romance in other books as well, so that's going to be pretty easy. My next prompt is Inscription, what is Inscription? Oh, that one is Intimidating Read, so that one is going to be Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee, because I mean, I don't like big books. If you've been on my channel for a while, I get scared of reading big books, and that one is like over 700 pages, so yeah, that fits perfectly that prompt. And then the last prompt that I have is Restoration, which is a book featuring a healer, which is why I added Prison Healer to my TBR this month, because obviously she is a healer. And honestly, I had a trouble finding a book with a healer in it, and that's the only one that I could think of. That's why I picked it for my TBR, and also it's a book that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. So that's it for my magical readathon prompt. I think I can do it. I'm really excited for all of these books. Have you read any of them? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to know your thoughts on them and which one I should pick up first. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night depending on when you're watching this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!